like competition?
I love competition.
Just you and me?
I can't wait.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. This one I'm going to be looking at the fairly new film Assault on Wall Street with Dominic Purcell. He's a pretty good actor. I like him in particular in the TV series Prison Break. It's probably what he's best known for. But he's been in a few other good things like Killer Elite, who's pretty good in that. That was a film starring Jason Statham, Clive Owen and Robert De Niro. So even kind of up alongside those guys, he was still fairly good in that, and fairly unrecognisable as the actor that we know him as well, which is usually a sign of a good actor. He's been in other things that I've liked him in. He was in Blade Trinity and he played Dracula in that. Now, it wasn't a very good film, and I know a lot of people kind of slagged him off for being in that, but I thought he was an interesting Dracula and he was pretty cool, so you can't really ask for anything else other than that. He's been in other things as well. It's usually minor roles. He does tend to do a lot of direct-to-DVD films nowadays, which is a bit of a shame really, because he's a good actor, and he was good in this anyway. So what is the film about anyway? Well, basically in a nutshell, it's kind of like films like Falling Down and Taxi Driver and The Negotiator. It's one of those kind of films where I'll just say in a nutshell basically what happens. He's a guy down on his luck. Everybody's kind of screwing him over. His life is just kind of ruined by various different people for different reasons. And he goes on a rampage at the end for revenge. There's nothing really else more than that. It's just revenge right at the end of the film. So that's basically in a nutshell what it is. As I say, it kind of reminded me of those three films: The Negotiator, Taxi Driver and Falling Down. There's probably other examples, but those three kind of spring to mind. Specifically Taxi Driver, there's even a scene where he's got kind of two guns in like holsters and he's looking in a mirror just like in Taxi Driver and does his like thing, which is exactly what Robert De Niro did in that film. So I don't know, maybe when he was on the set of Killer Elite with Robert De Niro, maybe he kind of gave him some tips for future films. I don't know. I kind of doubt that. In fact, I don't even think they had any scenes together in that film. But anyway, I kind of digress there. I'm kind of getting away from this film. So basically, to be more specific, I'll kind of give a few spoilers here away as well. So if you're going to watch the film and don't want to know, I'll probably turn this review off now. But basically, the actual plot of the film, he's a married guy and he works for a security company, and his wife is ill, and the medical insurance kind of screws them, and means that they're going to have to start paying for a lot of the treatment that she's getting. So that's kind of the first thing that kind of kicks it off. Second of all, he's got investments and he loses out big time. I think it's like $60,000 or something that he ends up losing through these corrupt banksters. And there's a lot of narrative to this throughout the film. You get to see the CEOs of the companies that he's invested with, even though he doesn't really interact with them early on in the film. You get to see them kind of plotting how to screw out their investors. And there's a lot of things like news reports and stuff kind of running throughout this, like he'll be doing stuff and it's like on in the background and it's very prominent, you can hear them talking about banksters. And it names names in this film as well. It really kind of goes after like guys like Ben Bernanke and guys like that, that are pretty much held responsible for a lot of the economic climate of the last few years. So this film in itself is kind of an assault on Wall Street. So it kind of sets that up, and so all this stuff's happening to him. As I say, he loses out on like 60 grand, his home is being threatened, his ability to pay his wife's medical insurance is threatened as well. He has to borrow money off one of his friends, like 10 grand, so he can pay for a lawyer to like get his money back, but then that kind of, he gets screwed over there basically. He then loses his job because he works for a security bond company, basically, and they can't afford to have employees that have got debts. For that reason, it's kind of a conflict of interest, so he loses his job. His wife then like dies. It's really horrible. She commits suicide. This guy just goes through the worst shit you can go through, basically. So you can kind of see where it's coming from right at the end. At the end of the film, well, not right at the end of the film, but when it starts to kind of turn, the tide kind of starts to turn for him. Not in terms of getting his money back, that doesn't doesn't go in that direction, but in terms of him, peace of mind kind of thing, if you can call it that, his revenge plot, and basically starts where the first person that he kills he doesn't kill them, it's an accident. He goes out and confronts the assistant district attorney that wasn't helping him when he was going through all this stuff. So again, he specifically goes after the people that, kind of screwed him over. And there's a bit of a scuffle, and the guy steps out into the road and gets run over by a car. And there's nobody else that sees this, so he just kind of panics and runs away. But I guess he gets a taste for these people dying, basically. He kind of likes it. So then he gets some guns and stuff and just starts, becomes like a sniper basically, and starts gunning down specific people, like his broker, that kind of thing. So you can totally see where he's coming from. I mean, don't get me wrong, I personally wouldn't, but I understand. That's the way I would always put something like this. That's a Chris Rock quote, by the way, when he was talking about O.J. Simpson. So you can kind of see where somebody's coming from when they do something, even though you wouldn't do it, but you understand. Because O.J. Simpson, killed his wife or whatever, allegedly, and then got away with it, obviously. But most people know, you can tell he did it. I personally wouldn't kill my wife if she cheated on me, but I understand. So it's that point of view for this film that's really kind of what they're getting at, because essentially at the end of the film he's a bad guy. He goes from just killing people that specifically screwed him over, and it just ends with him just kind of randomly shooting or gunning down people that work for the companies that screwed him over. So they're just kind of working class stiffs basically, although very well paid working class stiffs. I mean, this is Wall Street, but at the end of the day, these people never done business with him, they don't know him, they've never met him, kind of thing, and he's still killing them. But you can see where he's coming from. That's kind of where this film is let down, really, because a lot of the stuff early on where it's getting into his investments and lawsuits, all that kind of thing, it's fairly intelligent, so you kind of expect more, I guess. But you can kind of tell from the film trailer the kind of film it's going to be. And the fact that it's a direct-to-DVD video, you tend not to have a lot of hope for films like that. But having said that, for a direct-to-video film, I would recommend it. I thought it was quite good. It's one of the best direct-to-video films I've seen in quite a long time, to be honest. There are exceptions. Films like Death Race 2 was another one that I thought was quite good. I think that's the last decent direct-to-video film I've seen, to be honest. And again, I like Dominic Purcell. He's really good in this. Some of the bits, you kind of think this is a guy who could just be kind of labelled like a kind of dumb action film guy, but I think he's got more range than that. As I say, he was good in Prison Break. He's a really good character in that as well. So, and it's directed by a guy, I can't even pronounce his name. He's German. He's called Ball, I don't know, or Ewa Ball, I don't know. Anyway, I'll just put it there. That's the name of the guy that directed the film. He's done some pretty bad shockers as well, from what I understand. In the Name of the King, which I reviewed in my Jason Statham review, I think it was part 2 of that. Not a brilliant film, to be honest, and they did do sequels, and in fact Dominic Purcell is in number 3. I haven't watched the sequels. From what I understand, number 1 is the crowning jewel of the trilogy, and it wasn't all that great, so I have no interest in watching those. So the film director, I'd say hit and miss, is usually just miss, to be honest, but this one was actually quite good. As I say, I got this for my birthday, so thank you very much, Claire, for getting me this. I think I'll pretty much leave it there. There is an ending to this I'm not going to get into specifically, because that would be some kind of big spoilers. There's not like a massive plot twist or anything, but there is a bit of a payoff, so I will kind of say that in the negative, the film is about an hour and a half long, and the actual main bit at the end is the last kind of 10-15 minutes. There's a little bit that kind of builds up to that, but the first at least hour of the film is just basically him getting screwed over. So there is a payoff, like I say, to that, so I guess you could say it's worth it, but it just kind of drags on a little bit. But other than that, I liked it anyway. I would recommend it. If you like Dominic Purcell, if you like Prison Break, it's one of those kind of corporate conspiracy type things which you did get to see in Prison Break. So it's got that kind of vibe to it. So again, if you like this, you'll probably like this. So I'll pretty much leave it there. Not much else to say. Not too complicated a film. So let's just say it's one that I recommend. Now, if you want to check out browneggsreviews.com, there's plenty of other reviews up there, and there's going to be plenty more to come in the near future. So check that out, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.
Look, I'm telling you, it's going to take a while though before this whole thing is.
You're telling me I've lost all my money?
No, not necessarily. There's going to be some large lawsuits.
I just want my money back.
Jim, that's not how investment works. I mean, you got to pay to play.